This is just AMZN on Thursday, February 11th, 2021. I want to start out today looking at the 3250 put because that's what I was watching, and opened up just above our line at $7 and didn't come back down to it. I thought there was a chance it would pull back a little further through here. It didn't come down that far. Touched about 8. Yeah, put in a nice clean base around 8, 825. And this is where back on the stock, it actually put a really clean consolidation. You can kind of draw a triangle in here. There's a couple different ones that you could draw. I was kind of eyeballing. I liked this one, connecting the highs and then connecting some lows. I like the angle on that. You just kind of disregard that and disregard that a little bit. And it's a really clean triangle. And it was coming pretty close to an apex at the yellow line, which once again, we were trading around and trying to see what we would do there. As this was consolidating through here, it was starting to break down a little bit on the call. It had put in some lows and then just started to break down, got a little bit of retest here, and then just continued on down. And around the time it was doing this is where this was starting to break out. But before it broke out, and I thought this was a really cool price, right about $11, the close of the option from yesterday. That was lining up as a pretty good resistance through here, and then right through here as well, right before it broke out. And then conveniently, it actually, if I could draw straight, it actually came right back into 11. Yeah, if I could draw a straight line. All right, let me get rid of that. And I'm going to actually go into the chart and draw a straight line because I just want to do that. So what I was trying to draw here is the $11 price. It came back into right at the end of the day, closed at 1090. But earlier on in the day, the $11 was just working out really, really nicely. If I could turn this back to, oh, there we go. All right, right at 11 and right at 11. So there you go. You can see it's resistance here, it's resistance again here, and then broke out and right away did not come back to it, but then it was coming back over here. And so that would have been, let me go back to the drawing tool. So that was really the breakdown over in here, and then a retest over here into the 21. That's really where you could have set this up to buy at 11. Now, once it didn't get back down to the $7 price through here, I was hardly watching the market today, and so I was not looking for anything like this to happen. But it's still just an amazing trade to be patient for that amount of time for it to come back to that same price. To see that as playing some support through here, breaking down through it here, holding resistance for 20 minutes right through here. At the same time, you're getting the call starting to break down. Yeah, that's the confluence. I like that. I like seeing that on the chart. So with the cursor now, okay, so here's the prices. Right through here, we're starting to break down. This candle, you actually got that retest. And then the next candle was another like really small inside candle on the call on the stock. It was another inside candle here, and that was right before the breakout. The only issue with this is it would have been a little bit of a stretch to get in 11 by 10. You had the low here right at 995. That's a little bit of a stretch. So then it's like, okay, which option to go look at? So the 3225 had really light volume. Had some similar pricing where you had some consolidation, but I mean this is 13 contracts and then one contract. So yeah, that's always going to look like consolidation. If we look at maybe just $10 away, go to 3240. Has decent volume, a few light spots earlier in the morning here. But again, you got one contract here right before you're looking to trade. And then you do get a retest, but that's now retesting into like the $8 price. And the low over here was 740. So, okay, 8 by 7 would have worked. But I don't know if you would have gotten filled if you had the order set up to get it at 8. The low was 798. So, and then it did come back right down to 802. So you wouldn't have been getting the $8 price. And the $8 price didn't line up as nicely with the close from yesterday. So the close from yesterday was 861. So the 861 price wasn't as clean of resistance through here. So, it's like, okay, if we see a good setup on one option, it's going to look a little different on another option. So um, these are obviously the every 10 strikes. I'm just looking at just see what they were doing. I like sticking with the every 25. So the zeros, 25, 50, 75. Those have usually some decent volume. The 25 and 75, not as much as the zeros and the 50. And that's what makes the 3250 so nice, that it just had much higher volume. So here's 3230, 77 contracts here. This is getting a little bit wider with these moves, but you could still really comfortably do, like let's see, 650 by 550. I think that could work because that's at least a little further back, put in a low of 555. 648 was the low on this candle, and the close from yesterday was 690. So you're still off a little bit there. Let's see what the 3220 looks like. Seems to have decent enough volume, except through here. Yeah, that was much later. Doesn't actually put in a bearish candle right here on the put. You'd think it would, but it didn't. That's buying like right at $5. That was a little bit higher from or lower from the close from yesterday. But I like the retest. I like the level here, 5 here. 5 by 4 could have worked. But then you got to pull back a little bit on how many R's you're looking for. So if you're getting it at 5, 2R, I guess, up to 7. 8 would have been tough. It didn't get up to 8 over here. So maybe just looking for 2R instead. So I think that's a little bit more difficult to get into. So back to 3250. One more thing I wanted to point out with just looking at the options here. So actually, you know what? I wanted to look at it on the call. So I was also looking at, what was it, 3275? Okay, so 3275, something else I noticed when this was all starting to happen, the consolidation here, there's a nice, that kind of up angle on the triangle. There's a similar one here, just connecting the lows. And then it starts to break down in this candle, which this is the same candle that breaks down from the yellow line for the triangle. And then you have all of these candles in a row that are bearish, like a lot of them. Like this is an hour's worth of bearish candles. And what's significant there is there were some bullish candles through here. So like this candle was bullish. You got a bearish candle on the call. This candle was bullish, and you got a bearish candle on the call. This candle and this candle, all these are bullish candles, and you're just losing premium on the calls. And obviously that's one of the risks of trading the options, is that they don't always move in the same way as the stock. There's the Greeks, there's theta decay, there's all this other stuff. But even when you had like this, I mean, any of these bullish moves, usually the put pulled back. So this had a bearish move when this had a bullish move. So that lines up. It was just interesting to see that you didn't have the same kind of move on the call. And that just means it's losing premium. Watch out, you're picking the wrong direction, or you really want to get a clean base to play off of and get some reversing coming in, even like a double bottom sort of pattern, something like that, to show, okay, now is the time to consider getting in bullish. Otherwise, you're playing against the trend, and you're putting yourself more at risk to lose. And that's just something you want to be careful for. There's a lot of times that it kind of shows, like the options kind of show their hand that way. And just studying these charts and noticing that, like, when else do you see that many bearish candles in a row? Normally doesn't quite happen like that on a daily. Usually there's some retracement, some resting inside candles. And so you see that, just take a look, study what's going on, figure that out, because you really didn't have that same kind of move bullish with the puts. So that's just a comparison I want to point out there. So I hope this helps. There's one more thing I want to show you. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you. Please like it and subscribe if you're not subscribed. But I want to really zoom out here and look at the stock, because I was zooming out and it's like, this is just following something really, really low. And I figured out where I could draw to figure that exactly Not exactly. Well, it is really exact. So what I did is I just lined up at 8:30 of both the day after earnings, so 2-3, and the day that we spit out from this triangle right here. So that was 2-8. So both those days, I just grabbed the open price. So I'm showing you how I drew this, so you can go and draw this yourself as well. So let me zoom in on this one. So this open price, 34.27.27. I'm trying to exact because sometimes it's fun to see these exactly. And this open is 356.72. So you connect those opens, and it closely lines up with this triangle. It's a little bit wider. And the reason I picked those opens is because this was after earnings. And so there's a lot of volume, really big candle. And then this candle here, it just lined up so well with this triangle. It's like, okay, that's probably significant. So just looking at this, I'm going to extend to the right. I'll show you what happens on the right. So we didn't quite get as high back up here. But again, after earnings, we've got a lot of pressure. It retraced quite a ways, and then it just sank. And it sank really clearly into the triangle here. And then we pushed up through this a little bit, got above our line here. And I like to say X marks the spot. Like this would have been a really nice X if we knew this was going to be the price the next day. But I mean, even this seemed like it was a little bit too high, too fast. And there's an even bigger triangle here going on if you connect the kind of connect the lows and kind of connect some highs. But anyway, what I want to show you is after this, and obviously this is something you could have drawn in at this point, but after this, we ran right back into this line. We had this indecision. I was talking about these indecision candles right here on this day, and we reversed. We even retested right here, and you had an opportunity to play this getting into the option, the 3250 call. I'm sorry, the 3250 put for 7/6, and it would have been able to play that up to 10 pretty quickly here. And then I did play that here, literally buying like just about. I can check my broker to see if I played the exact top, but I was buying call. I keep saying calls. I was buying the 3250 put right here for $7 and got out at 10. And I should have just held on because it was that much more. And then we pushed almost up that high again. And then today, right? Yeah, this is today. We opened above this, just like we opened above it here, but not quite taking out as much of the put premium to get back down to the $7 price. But look at all these wicks that came right back into it. So it's like seeing this, it's like this really looks like it's lining up well with something, even right into the close. Came right into it. So if I zoom this out, look at this line. It's just showing you where it's going to go. Now, obviously, we don't know that it's going to work ahead of time, but if I had drawn this line in on these days, like just connecting these and then watched it play in to that same price here, and I was watching this retracement here, looking to get in, and that 7/6 set up on this 3250 put, and then again here, and then it didn't quite get there here, but I was watching the same setup. I mean, if you had this line drawn in, you probably could have made a lot of R's playing off of this. So here we are. We're right back down at the bottom of our resistance zone. We've got an even smaller triangle space in here tomorrow. We've got the bigger yellow triangle line here. We've got kind of a box to fit in, possibly. We could continue to push lower, following this line lower. We've got potentially a support here if we really hold this lower edge of our resistance range and bounce back up. And that was one of the possibilities I said, where we could come back down here, go back up. I don't know. We'll see if some bullishness comes in. We've had on the daily now 4 days of some selling. We had this big day of selling after the after earnings, and then we had a little bit of rest. Then we had some more selling come in. But if I go back to, I'm going to go back to the hourly on this chart there. So there's the bigger triangle. So we're right back into the top edge of this triangle. So there's a lot of things saying, oh, we just pulled back here. Here we go. We could bounce here. Doesn't have to. The other thing I saw in here, let me switch back to the 5-minute because I saw it better on the 5-minute. Sorry for this. There we go. Okay. If I look at the 5-minute, the other thing I considered doing in here is if I connect some of these lows, I'm going to connect to this point just because it's a point here. I can draw this out like this. I can even go further out to the left. I can go even further, but if I just go to here, let me just show you. If I go to here, this kind of looks like a wedge pattern. And it kind of touches some of the highs through here a little bit. It's cutting through this, obviously, but it's touching some of the highs. It just seems like there's something consolidating here. And I'm not calling anything. I don't know which way it's going to go. I'd like to see it bounce again and go bullish. But if we get some sort of massive rally, or if we get a gap up and we hold this line as support, I mean, I think we really could get a nice reversal in here and get some buying to come in. But I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. This kind of a pattern, it's a wedge pattern. It's making lower lows faster than, I'm sorry, it's making lower highs faster than it's making lower lows, at least from here to here. Now, this day, you could do the same thing where you draw a low. That's a really good support. I'm going to draw that real quick here. Actually, I'm just going to copy this line because that should be faster. Oh, come on. Thought it would be faster. All right. There's another pattern. That's a really clean triangle here. So you got some low supports, and then it broke down. And that's another reason why it broke down and retested right here. And another reason why I should have held this put even longer. Oh, that's annoying. To see these things after the fact, it's like, okay, just chalk it up to another lesson, just learn from that. Look at how clean that support is. Broke down, retested. Yeah, I should have been looking for way more R's for my target. And I'm not seeing it till now. So I didn't even think about this on the video I did yesterday. I didn't even go back and look at this bigger picture. So always good to check the bigger picture, see what's going on. So I'm going to leave this on. We'll see if any of this plays out. But for anybody who didn't make this far in the video, and all of a sudden for my video for Friday, something I've talked about plays out, we'll have to just tell people to look back at Thursday's video and see what happens. So, or see what I called, even though I'm not saying I'm calling anything. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going to be watching these lines on the stock. I'm going to be watching probably the 3250 put again to see what it does. And I'll be watching some of these calls. Not sure which one yet. I'd like to be watching the same strike. So if I already know I'm watching the 3250 call, I'm going to keep an eye on the 3250. I'm sorry, if I'm going to be watching the 3250 put, then I should be watching the 3250 call. But this is way too wide for me to trade with, looking for $100 risk. So it's got to move a lot further down. I'm not sure if it's going to do that or not. And then let's see, after hours looks like it's at 32.55 or so. So I guess we'll see which strike we'll be watching, but I like to land on the same strike on the calls and the puts on a Friday. So we'll see where that is. All right, hope this helps. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.